to use David Lipsey's good phrase, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of those out there that are watching us today with us. Today, I'm really proud to be working with Dr. Graves, who you heard a little bit earlier today, to talk about how actually we partner to protect the King Center's legacy and bring their story to the world. As for those who didn't hear the keynote, please go back and watch it later. I'm pleased to be joined by Dr. Kelisha B. Graves, the Chief Research, Education, and Programs Officer of the Martin Luther King Jr. Center for Nonviolent Social Change. Hi, Dr. Graves, how are you?
Hello, good to see you.
Good to see you as well. And for those who don't know, I'm Neal Bilow and the CEO of Terentia. We are extremely privileged to be working with the King Center, Dr. King, Dr. Graves, all of the staff of the King Center on such an important project, and just really tickled about the opportunity to continue with that work today. At Terentia, we're looking to empower cultural institutions, and we're a next generation platform designed to manage your collections, organize and preserve those assets, and really help try to tell compelling stories. How do we take DAM and collections out of the back office, if you will, and start to bring it forward as part of our ethos? It was interesting because Dr. Graves and I were reflecting yesterday that it was almost 1 year ago to the day today that we met for the very first time. And we realized in talking with each other and presenting things that we had a shared vision. And that shared vision has to do with our platform vision on what your collection, what your DAM system should be doing for you today. Really set on these 4 pillars of manage in those applications that we do it, discover, how do we get into things like Elasticsearch to be able to see them, human and both machine learning, engagement tools, and trade. Dr. Graves, I know we were talking about this earlier, as well, right?
Yeah, definitely. No, this is, I remember when we first saw this, or when I first saw this, this was one of the things that sold me on the platform, if you will, the possibilities that could come out of DAM, not just the management capability, but also the discovery and the engagement, and then the trade factor. How do you begin to monetize one's assets, if you will? So at the King Center, it's always been the vision of our CEO to ensure that we could scale the research and educational impact of our archives. And in fact, the whole concept around digitization began with our CEO, Dr. Bernice A. King. And so we are now in a place where we are able to implement some of these dreams and ambitions. And we're very intentional about ensuring that we can offer digital-based historical interactive experiences for the world. There are 8 billion people on the planet. The United Nations has confirmed 8 billion as of 2022. All of those 8 billion people, while we would like for them to physically come to the King Center and to see our library and archives and all that we have to offer, we know that that is not physically possible. So implementing this DAM system and the collections engagement system is really allowing us to scale the impact of our library and archive so that these 8 billion people at least have the potential of gaining access to our remarkable treasure trove of assets.
That's an excellent way to put it. And something I want to know for everybody out there who saw the timeline, this was something that we did in about 3 months in terms of getting it out there right away. For January, an important historic day of MLK Day, of course, to celebrate, but it's just the beginning. That's the main thing, is the timeline's not it. That tool and all our tools are built to be constantly engaged with, to constantly grow. And stay tuned to watch to see what else we do with that wonderful experience. Well, thank you, Dr. Graves, for joining me here. I'm going to go a little bit deeper into the tech on how we did this and how we accomplished this. Our collections engagement tools are meant to extend beyond the core records-based functionality of what we're doing. We look at how do we support digitization and that deep integration with DAM, embrace and manage third-party content. And today, what we're going to focus on is only 2 of these kind of pillars, both to support digitization as well as supporting access, interpretation, and that all-important digital storytelling that you referred to, Dr. Graves. as well. For those who haven't seen it before, this is how Terentia looks at our platform tool set. We don't build everything, but instead, how do we look at integrating with some of the best of breed systems that are out there or technologies that are out there so that we can rapidly prototype and continue to extend the platform for not just the King Center, but the entire community that is joining Terentia. So at this point, we're going to just pause for a minute, talk about that digitization. So getting deeper into that scope of the manage section, for example, and we'll talk about digitization and preservation. The King Center was doing some really interesting things for those who were on the keynote. They'd already started preserving and had a great partner in Preserve South. They had some internal digitization going on. They had these born digital assets and of course, other activities as well. And so this was about how do we bring this content in, extract information from it, start to transform it, both in its formats as well as in some cases where it may not be a preservation type of thing or where there's more data needed. How do we start to bring in enhancements, not just human, but also machine learning activities, keep them in a store, and then allow for those three kind of main things: aggregate and distribution, getting to that engagement, and then how do we learn something about it? What is resonating for people to help drive what else should be digitized or what other content should be produced? Perhaps more of the really great, for example, Dr. Graves, educations that you guys are doing with the Nonviolence 365. For those who don't know, go to the King Center, check it out. A really great education program that they're doing both publicly and for other corporate activities. Working with Preserve South, which was their digitization partner in Atlanta, we said, instead of you sending the King Center a bunch of stuff, how can we collaborate for you to be able to bring it all in? But we had a challenge. They had digitized so much content already, and we were looking to bring it in as quickly as possible, that we decided we would use multiple tools to do this. So yes, we could use our traditional file picker, and they're able to do things that are in a quick need for a quick turnaround to get in right away. We have a bulk uploading tool of which they can do several hundred assets that way and let that running. We also deployed Azure-based tools called AZ Copy and worked with Microsoft really closely on how we could push this content directly into the cloud storage right away. And finally, believe it or not, the fastest way to move large amount of content today is still a good old hard drive. And so working with Azure, they have a thing called a data box, which we could send to Preserve South. They could hook into their server systems and rapidly move 80 terabytes. Preserve South moved over 80 terabytes in less than 2.5 days onto this. It went back in and suddenly we had it in our system all within 5 days, all over the Christmas period. 140 terabytes in total in the last 2 months, 400 terabytes expected by the end of 23. And one fun fact that we like to throw out there: largest file size to date, Dr. Graves, 300 gigs as a video file. So you're getting right now. You got the little award. Although I know some of the other community members are looking to challenge that. So we'll see who ends up.
Neal, when you say 300 gigabytes, what's the hour? Do you know the hour count on that video?
That would probably be about 6 hours, I think, was
6
that
hours,
video.
okay.
Yeah, that was about a 6 hour long video. So you can see the connection to sustain bringing that amount of content up. From there, working again with Preserve South and the information that they provide us, we're able to create an archive record for this one. Now, this one is an example of one that's an archive video, and it's the access copy that was done. And you can see here, it allows for information to be brought in. And we also maintain, what did Preserve South do? Did they need to bake it? For those who don't know about baking, that's a lot of fun. Think about literally an old easy bake oven. And that's how actually sometimes these tapes have to be baked to reoxidize and bring the content in. So we need to capture that. Was there any repairs involved? And then what kind of file format did it go into? Now, those who understand preservation will also know how important an MD5 checksum is. And so we capture that as well, being able to constantly be monitoring that. And that's one of the real advantages of us using the Azure archive system and using Azure in general, because when that content comes in, whether it be a preservation master at a JPEG 2000 or the access copy of the ProRes, we automatically create a proxy, allowing the King Center and others to be able to easily view it from their web, from anywhere, and even from their phone if they really wanted to. And then secondly, we're able to store these files into our archive, into the archive system on the cloud, which automatically makes 3 copies. Now, remember that checksum? Well, Azure is always checking on that for us as well. So it's always looking for it, always watching for bit rot. And if it ever does find any, it'll immediately discard one and put it on and recopy it so that we always have maintained 3 copies. We then also have our proxy creations. And another thing that we can also offer is the ability to have it across multiple regions, even multiple countries, which is really some of the fantastic things. And really cost measure wise, it's working out really well compared to your traditional on-site storage, which you have to maintain, and then most of us can't maintain this many copies. I could go a little bit more into the scalability, redundancy, and protection, but if you really want to learn about it, let me know. Data sovereignty, a big topic today for obvious reasons. In you working with a public cloud provider like Microsoft allowed us to actually be able to have most of the content for our community always in their home countries, which is really important, especially in the US, Canada, the UK, parts of Europe, Asia, Latin America. This is really great. Now, the next part was bringing the archive to the world, and this is where we had a lot of fun all throughout December and January of Dr. Ray. This is how do we support access and interpretation, that true digital storytelling. So remember this platform tool set again. This time we're going to zoom right in. We don't have a good graphic. We'll get one with some animation next time. Right into the into the part about storytelling, our collections online, and education. Something I know that's really true to your heart as well, Dr. Graves. Using our system, what we can do is create all of these kind of these interfaces and schemas for that administration of the backend, to think about what it means to transition a record from now being an archive record to an event record, which went on the timeline. And so by doing this, we can add data, bring data in from the archive record, change it to the timeline event record, but it's all on the same asset. And that's what's really key, is we're not having to manage it in multiple places. From here, we can then translate this through our integrations with WordPress today, although coming soon, we'll be able to do this all on our own as a headless CMS, which we're really excited for come this spring, summer. You'll be able to do exactly this in the same way. So we're able to push through this content onto the timeline experience. A little quick, diagram for those who like to see flow diagrams, taking that archive record, enhancing it into the timeline record, allowing us to publish it through, and then using Azure Front Door again as our CDN to maintain all of the traffic. As I had mentioned, soon we'll be replacing that WordPress with our complete engagement tools, and we're really excited to be announcing that later on. Their future collections engagement tools, things that we're working with Dr. Graves on, along with the Computer History Museum and a bunch of others in our community, is the ability to search your collection or create your own timelines. How do we integrate this with your CRM and donor management so that we can provide early access to some content for those who are members, for example? How do we exchange data with them and automate some of that metadata enrichment? We're looking for others who want to join our community. I think, Dr. Graves, you guys have been happy with the community so far. I can see a smile there, which is good.
Most definitely, yes, yes.
Thank you. And it's a growing community as well, which is really important. A growing community of organizations who are looking to be forward thinking, and we would look for others if you're interested to join. Our ethos is all about being collaborative. It's about how do we work agile together and user-centric? How do we create and develop those kind of requirements that you need? And how do we ensure that those requirements could be useful for the entire community that's within it? We want to be progressive, and we know there's a lot of work to do, and which is why we've been starting with building this core and now starting to get really great feedback and moving through forward from there. That is our presentation today, at least from this standpoint. I know, Dr. Graves, I spoke a lot there. I just wanted to come back to you and see if there's anything else you wanted to add.
No, except to say that it has been a wonderful and exhilarating experience to work with Neal and the Terentia team. I have to say, one of its primary goals and values, I think I can probably speak for you when I say this, Neal, is customer service. The customer service that we have received at the King Center from Terentia has been top notch. The responsiveness, even when it comes to when I randomly have a piece of data that or something that needs to be uploaded, I can email them, communicate with them, and they respond so quickly, and it's done like the next day. So I just want to say the customer service experience has been absolutely wonderful, Neal. So thank you, and we look forward to continuing to work with Terentia, and the fact that you all have this emphasis on elevating the profile of cultural institutions in terms of through digital asset management and collections engagement system is wonderful. And we are so excited about making the art of the possible a reality.
Well, thank you, Dr. Graves. You're very kind with those words. We're going to always continue to try our best to do it. We don't succeed all the time, but we're going to try every time to for all of our community members. So thank you so much for such kind words today. Well, thank you everybody for joining Dr. Graves and I to talk a little bit more about the in-depth. With such short amount of time, it's hard to really get really deep. For those who are interested, please feel free to drop by the exhibit booth, say hello, send us an email. You can send me an email as well. I'd be more than interested to engage in a conversation, even just have a little bit of fun, and especially to explore more about digital preservation when it comes to the cloud. What does that look like? And then how do we start to really think of a new way of thinking when it comes to collaboration between vendors and as well as the community at large? So thank you very much. We're wrapping up a little bit early, but I'm sure nobody will mind that whatsoever. Edward, thanks for today. And thank you, Dr. Graves.
Thank you.